Welcome to the Ty Odom Podcast. I'm your host, Ty Odom. I am a social worker who has always worked in the nonprofit sector, and along the way, I noticed that many people have the desire to help the community, but just didn't know how to get started. And that's where I come in. From volunteering to starting a nonprofit, this podcast will help you learn how to use your time, talent, and treasure to live out your dreams of helping others. Bi-weekly, I'll bring on a guest that I believe you will find helpful, inspiring, and whose journey can teach us about service. Whether you're just getting started or you're an experienced leader, this inclusive philanthropy space will bring creative ideas, simple strategies, and resources to help you along your journey. Between our guest and my many years of experience, here we help you develop the confidence you need to tap into your inner philanthropist and unlock the immense power that we all have to serve. Thanks so much for tuning in, and welcome to the podcast. Hello, everybody. It's Ty Odom, the host of the United Philanthropy Podcast, and I have a really special guest in studio with me today. Mr. Lance Reed is the president of the Black Action Collective. It is an organization that was founded in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I was going to say Northwest Arkansas, but I want to make sure I specifically say Fayetteville, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. So Lance, thank you so very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you. What an honor. Such a privilege to be here.
So I think I do want to know what your official title is, and if you'll tell us a little bit about the Black Action Collective, so that as our listeners kind of join in, we'll be able to know exactly what it is you do in this current role that you have.
Okay. My name is Lance Reed. I'm the president and CEO of the Black Action Collective. The Black Action Collective is a nonprofit organization here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. But we really are advancing racial equity, and social justice issues, for African-American families, but also, really working to, with a multicultural collective of individuals to undermine white supremacy as well. So, we really look at programs and services that really intersect and cross-sect a lot of different angles to advance and fulfill that mission.
Awesome. So I think listening to that was definitely a lot to unpack in terms of how you all are attacking an issue that is so rooted in who we are in the U.S., so rooted in many of the things that we would be like, why is this even debatable? Like right, wrong. I don't know where we're different so far on this. So I commend you for attacking this in a way that people can, one, learn, and then they also have resources and access to resources. So I don't believe anyone jumps into something just, I wake up and I'm the president. President means you've been doing some work before now, right? President means that you have been probably grassroots in it for a long time. So tell us a little bit about some of the work you've done before Black Action Collective, so that as we get to know you over the next couple of minutes, it's more about how this all works together. Because I'm a firm believer that sometimes the position that we're in is literally what people look at. They don't look at maybe the smaller jobs that you've had. They don't look at the volunteer opportunities you had to have. So tell us a little bit about before you became the president and CEO, who was Lance and what's some of the work that you've done?
So I would tell any individual coming up or trying to be a leader, it starts with your volunteering and what you give your time and your treasure with. And so I'm a firm believer of giving my talent and lending my talent and time to positive causes. And so for about 10 years now, it started out as a volunteer role, working on grassroots political campaigns, volunteering my time, and then it started working with this organization, volunteering, giving my time and over the course of the volunteer career, the work started to expand. And so, however, I was at the time working at that time I was working at DHS, and then I switched from the social service sector went to corporate America because I thought I went to Walmart, and so I started working in HR. But everything that I did, whether it was my work or career goal or what I was doing in the community, it was always leaning off of each other. So it was always whether helping someone get a career or advance their career, or if it was working on advocating for a political cause or Black Lives Matter, it was being on the front line, being that voice for the community. And sort of it just continued to happen and be one of those voices. And I never did consider myself a leader at all. I just was just, speaking up about, what I lived, what I've heard about from friends, what I read, what I saw growing up around me. So I was just using all of the different, who I am, where I come from, my background, my education, my experiences, and just really just putting it all together to uplift my community. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, I always had the mindset of I'm going to the University of Arkansas to learn how I can impact my community. And so taking back what those skills and how I can make sure that the bottom is lifted up. And so I'm only as great as the rest of my community. So it was I've always had that in my mind, but I never did see myself in this position or this organization even happening. But it became its own independent organization, something that was really daring and brave of us to even try that out during a pandemic. And so
Right. Yeah. So I saw that as I was doing some research on the organization. You hit on a couple of things, which was one, you went to school with the intent of learning how to help your community. So I am by, education a social worker. So my degrees are in social work, and I'd always had help in some form. I'd always had really great teachers, really great coaches, just really great community. I'm from a very small place. What's up, Williston, South Carolina? We have 2 stoplights, and it was just, I couldn't become anything without the village of people that supported me. So although when I went to school, I wasn't thinking I want to be a social worker and I want to help people, I've always had a helping spirit. I just didn't know that I could spend the rest of my life doing that. And so when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's like my journey. And I did politics and I've done campaigns. And so a lot of times I feel that there are situations where people just build on the skills. And you build on what your heart's like real core value is, and it's serving people. So that's what I heard in your story, which is I wanted to be a servant. I learned how to do that. I did that, and opportunities came to me. So that's one of the things that I took away from that space. And you're right, 2020 for you guys to say, hey, we're going to, become this organization, because it started with Councilman DeAndre Jones and another young lady. I think it was a lady. I can't recall her name from the website. Miss Patty Williams.
Miss Patty Williams.
Thank you. And so it was more of a group of people who had an idea, and they were doing the work since 2014, I think.
2014, they were doing the work. They started out Black History Month, just raising awareness about Black Lives Matter issues, and then racial equity work and ally building started happening. And then we started offering programs and services, giving and to the community, trying to respond to needs that we saw that would be practical issues, but we're solving for challenging situations that the majority wouldn't think, or it might not be an issue that will be causing a setback for them. But however, for African Americans who's already live in systemic racism and institutional racism, those navigating those intersects can be quite challenging. And so starting to just create programs that interrupt different intersects and different points and pathways of individuals' lives is what we try to do. And so that's what really the organization has with our programs and services, how we impact things. We really try to offer a framework and a space for individuals that have a variety of issues to be impacted, or learn, or be educated, or just hang out, or it's
so layered.
Yeah, it's a layered. It's a layered of different things, because the African American experience is a layered experience.
Yes,
because the experience of Blackness is systemic racism looks totally different because Black people are not monolithic. And so making sure that we offer a space for Blackness, that the whole spectrum and the whole community of Blackness can show up and be present and seen, heard, and represented. And so I consider it kind of like a Black student union in the community.
That's a good point. So for anyone who did not go to an HBCU, you would probably have Black student unions, right?
Yeah.
Versus I have an HBCU experience. And so I don't need a Black student union. I have a Black student body. And I love the fact that you said we're not monolithic in our experiences. And so I think, as I am even a transplant to Northwest Arkansas, like I said, I'm from South Carolina, so I'm from the South, but I also moved here from Athens, Georgia. My experience in Blackness and being so close to Atlanta, when I moved here, it was almost like, oh my goodness, it was such a culture shock for me. And I was like, I didn't know what to expect when I moved here, but I also didn't expect there to be such a very small African American population here. So literally, I would say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I would say there is one quote unquote big Black church here. Would you say that? Or would you say there's more than one? Because I immediately...
That would be accurate.
Yeah, there's only one. So that tells you guys kind of what we're dealing with here.
And I think that's it's a number of different reasons. Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville's in the Northwest Arkansas part of the state. So
yes,
it's kind of unique in that sense of the nearest, Fort Smith have a Black center population, but Little Rock is 2.5 hours away. So the separation of historically where Fayetteville was positioned in the hills, African Americans, the settling was not as far, west and as up northward. Here, the Black population, there was some presence here with historically, outside of the university, but it was still small. It was still small. The university, the African American population started to increase, and so the corporations started to recruit and retain some of the African American students that came, but they started to recruit, and then Walmart.
Let's talk about that.
Walmart,
Walmart
is became Walmart, and so. Everything that transpires out of a whole retail sector and industry that has been created just out of an experience. And so the African Americans that do come here and do, it's a variety of different individuals. So you want to have a space and a culture that and create a community. And so that's really another thing about Fayetteville is the uniqueness about Northwest Arkansas is that it's this canvas to create a cultural experience like no other. It's an opportunity for new generations of African American leaders to look at and reflect on where we have came from, but where do we want to see the future? How can we, bring collective minds to shape and impact our community because of what we've seen. Like, okay, we know this is not working. Like, we have been trying this education, like certain things. We see this issue, like redlining. Like, what are we gonna do? To start solving from some of these issues. We have that opportunity, but it takes having an organization where the community can really play off of that. And not saying that there hasn't been organizations out there that's been fighting a good fight, the NWA and the Urban League, and there has been movement, the civil rights movement, the social justice movement, so and we just play and complement the work of those individuals and collaborate. I'm a member of NAACP, Urban League Young Professionals. And so we want to, it takes all of these organizations doing their part, but having a space where all of those organizations can come and then come. So that's how the Black Student Union was. So you had all the other organizations, but they still could come and collaborate in a space, in an atmosphere where they could call their own, that they all could be represented. I mean, so that's really, it's just making sure, like, hey, we're trying to create this, cultural space where the African American experience, no matter what religion, church, LGBTQ, whatever faith that you're, just
this is it. This is a space.
This is space,
And I think even too, starting in 2020, realizing how important it was for safe space in that moment, how important it is for the entire spectrum of what that experience can have a place to feel safe, to communicate, to desire to bring people on, the desire to say, hey, what are we doing right now and what needs to be done to get that going. So I think one of the things that I have seen you all do is say, we don't want to do the work by ourselves. We want to do the work in collaboration with. We want to do the work with organizations that have existed for a long time. We want to do the work with people that want to learn about the experience. And so that has been really, really commendable for me to watch as you guys have done that, because I have a picture of my son and it's from your event that you all were at, and it was called Fayetteville in Living Color. And it was a beautiful event, and my son is there with his friend, and she's a little white girl. And behind them is a mural that says the children are watching. And that picture in itself to me was like, if I am a part of doing work now, what will my son's experience be? What will her experience be? And then will we be proud of what we've done right now and what we're pouring into them? Because one of my things is my son is an adorable 6-year-old. I'm sorry, 7 at this point. He will one day be 6-something, 300 and something pounds. And will I have done the work so that that same person is viewed the same way that he is now? Or will there have been no work done and my son is still, a threat? He's dangerous. He, I don't know how he's going to wear his hair. I don't want to be, if he wears a hoodie, if he starts to like, a certain type of clothing. And so I want to be a part of doing the work so that when he is out of my sight 12, 13 hours a day, going to school, driving. And so that's what I think of when I think of organizations like yours that are doing this particular space and type of work. And so you do this work, and like you said, you partner, you collaborate, you have these programs. And what will you say has been like one of your greatest achievements between 2020 and now, in seeing the work and seeing the progress of what it takes, or seeing people actually say, you know what, I may not be as informed as I thought I was, or I may have personal biases that I haven't addressed. And so even for me, I'm like, oh, I think that sometimes about certain things. And so what does that look like, and where does that thought come from? Where does that feeling come from? So have you experienced a lot of that? Because in 2020, no store, we had just moved to Fayetteville, like didn't know anybody. And we had people who like really just wanted to talk to us about being Black. And they were like, well, I have Black friends because I'm from, a certain city. And we were like, oh, okay, and then what happens, right? Because you have those situations. So what would you say? I feel like I asked you 10 questions at that one time, but what has been one of the biggest things you've seen progress in the movement? And how do you help people who are now attacking their own personal thoughts and feelings?
So I think it's kind of, what I've seen the progress is people are, it goes back to this point where we have to be a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. And so there was this post-civil rights movement where African Americans became fatigued, which rightfully so. 400 years, fighting 400 years of oppression is fatiguing. And it's going to require generation after generation to continue to see how they fit into the puzzle, taking their talents and skills into the puzzle. And I think that's where we're at now, is we're mobilizing a group of social justice advocates that are like starting to collaborate and collectively start to talk and, have real engaging issues. And so the exciting part, I celebrate the willingness of individuals and the openness of individuals to want to do something, to want to do something about an issue that they have ignored. Because I want to be very unvarnished in truth, because we know that this was still going on. Right. So it's either unconscious bias or no, you just ignored it. And because it wasn't impacting your situation. And so when things are put in front of us, we have to address an issue. And so it started to have people question their level of, because racism is a spectrum. And so I think people need to understand there's levels of racism. And so there is, because white people tend to get this, well, I'm not as racist. Yeah, you're not as racist as that person. Yeah, but there's still levels of bias. So let's talk about that levels of bias right now. So you have to bring them back into reality, because they feel, the conversation, well, I have a Black friend. Okay, you have to start that conversation that because I have a Black friend, or, trying to, center it around, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the actions of this system and your inactions on changing or voting on things or electing people that will disrupt and create a system and society that is level for everyone. But because you have privilege and you benefit from systems set in place, it's easier for you to ignore it and to go back when it's not the hot topic. So it's getting them to move into action after these topics in these cycles. So that's where we're at now. And that's when you talk about your son in the future is, okay, so how many cycles we see that we're going to continue to go over and like, oh yeah, we, support this, but you are still electing individuals that are voting for policies that continue to strip away funding from school districts. Right. Or not pay teachers adequately. So it's or vote for elected officials that do fear mongering that says that they're out to get your jobs when it's not. No, if that was the case, then we wouldn't have unemployment the way it is, or who's applying for these jobs. It's a game. And so when you start to understand, the cycles of how they're trying to play the game, the systemic structures, you are able to fight the fight. But
so I think when you talk about the structure, when you talk about the things that are in place, one of these things is always going to be, sometimes we're like, I'm just one person. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make a difference. I don't know what it's going to change. And we get frustrated as people, because I remember feeling like, what am I doing? After my time on campaigns, I just thought, am I educating people? Do they understand the process? Do they understand that this thing that we're wanting to do, until we get it in the right hands, until we get the right supporters, until we can get it passed, until we can, get it from the house to this, it's a process. Yeah. And so I feel like there is a space for people where we don't understand process, or we don't understand that it can change.
It can change.
It will take some time.
You got a podcast. So look where you have a whole podcast that is reaching a platform that millions of listeners can hear the opportunity of what is going on in the space and what is happening and how they can be a part, and understanding it just takes one. So if 1 million people are listening and they see that, oh, I'm one person, imagine how an impact that happens. You have 1 million more people. You have believing that they can change the system. And so you hit on that point of, if I'm one person, that's the false sense of that's what they want you to believe, is that one person can't change anything, but actually one person can, because it's one person's vote that could be the difference. We're seeing the difference of the one, or the lack of engagement. It's getting individuals to see how everything in their life and intertwining with their cities and governments and job and being an active participant in community is really, I think, where we're at. But it's hard with 300 million people in the country.
So for people who are saying, I don't know how to get involved, I don't know what to do, I want to learn, or I haven't really touched base, or I'm having that feeling of it's just me. And so I have a little bit of apathy right now. I don't believe in the system. I believe, you're either on the left, you're on the right, you're in the middle. I don't know what to do, because there's so many things going on and so many opinions. So what would you say to someone who has the desire to get involved in the type of work that you do, but just don't know where to start, just don't know what to do? What would you suggest for that person? Where do they start if they aren't in Northwest Arkansas and can't call us and get in touch with you? Are there any books that you would say, hey, touch on this book? Hey, every state has X, Y, and Z. What would you suggest for people in that situation?
And you hit on a keyword of desire. You have to figure out what you're passionate about, because there's a lot of different causes out there, even in the Black Lives Matter movement, in the social justice movement. There's a lot of different things that you can plug in and get involved in. So it starts off first about what really irks me is if I could change if I had the power to do something, if it was a problem, what would those problems I would do to solve? And then start from there, and then start looking at organizations and causes in the community, that, it's kind of, touch that. And so it's just like, you'll touch that. And so then start attending those meetings, like join those associations, volunteering, just, you don't have to do it. No one's saying that you have to go be leading the protests with the bullhorn at the front of the line, like right at the gate. It's okay. Like, it is so okay.
It's
like,
okay.
It is so okay. I tell people it is so okay that if you only can volunteer for 30 minutes, you give the best 30 minutes on that. Like, that's fine. Give what you can. I think people, what happens is they go real hard and then they get burnt out, and then it's this cycle of did it work, and this sense of failure because they didn't, because they tired themselves out. And so understanding that, hey, all the problems ain't gonna be solved, and we some of the stuff, we're just talking and solutions. Some things, it's like I tell people, when I have interns, I'm like, just throw it on the wall and let it stick.
Whatever sticks.
Let it stick.
Hey, let's see what sticks today. But I remember around 2020, around the marching, around all of the unrest that we were all experiencing, I put up a Facebook post, and I don't even know when it's gonna pop up, y'all. So I can't tell you what it said for sure. But it said something to encourage people that, like, if you aren't a person who wants to go to a local march, if that's not your thing, it's okay if you're not marching. That we need people to march, but we need people to fund the march. We need people to bring down some water and snacks for the march. We need people where if we are registering voters at the march, hey, let me get you registered to vote,
we need attorneys because somebody might get arrested because you need people who are like, you have certain people that, I'll get arrested. Well, some people can't get arrested because they need their license. So there are different things that, people have to figure out what part of the movement that you want to be a part of, because I've been a part of various grassroots movements and been in various settings where leaders and organizers or activists can make people who are volunteering their time or not going as hard as they are going as hard, like they're not doing as much for the movement because they're not doing it or doing it. That's okay. Like, those people, you have to understand, an empty wagon makes a lot of noise. And so what the old saying is, and so when you see a lot of individuals that are, it's a simple, I've tried to, as my leadership and how I've volunteered, it's simple, and it's authentic, and you have to be genuine. And so, you don't have to be the loudest. Nope. You don't have to be, the smartest. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to, you just have to be available.
Yeah. So I think that is a good point, because one thing that we want everybody who listens to do is to unlock the magic of sharing their time, talent, and treasure. So what I heard you say constantly is show up, like decide what you're passionate about, decide that thing or those things. And you don't necessarily have to do one thing forever. You don't have to like doing it for 10 years. It could be something that you're like, you know what, right now, maybe this is what's tugging on my heart. Yeah. Right now, this is what I'm doing. Right now, this is my space that I'm going to give my time, my talent, or my treasure. And eventually it might change, and that's okay. Yeah. And I believe wholeheartedly, and I ask people, if this is what you can give me, all I ask is that you give it to me in the spirit of excellence. That is all. That's it. If it's 30 minutes, that's fine. Give me the best. Because I can do whatever you need me. I can give you something good in 30 minutes. And I do a lot of volunteering with, when I need people to come in. And I am mindful that they showed up because they want to do some work, and they showed up because this is what they can give to me. And if it's literally, I've had people say, hey, I got 30 minutes, and I don't know how many jobs this person works. I don't know how tired this person is. I don't know how many children might be sitting at home waiting on dinner, or a spouse. I don't know. But when you show up, I want to honor your time.
Yeah.
I want to honor the gift that you're giving me of your time. Yeah. And I'm going to put you to work. Yeah. So when I put out some CTAs for y'all, know that it could be 30 minutes, and give me 15, 20 book bags in 30 minutes if that's what we're doing. Yeah. And I want you to go home feeling like you've contributed. Yeah. And I want you to go home feeling like we valued your time, valued your gift, and we've got some noise. I think we're good. Yeah. So I do love that. So if people were wanting to, I want to get involved with the Black Action Collective in Fayetteville, what's a way that someone right now could volunteer with you guys?
So we have some different initiatives that we have going on, which will have, Hydrate for Hope is what we are doing right now. Currently partnering with the Seven Hills Homeless Center to help with bottled water. So we have that drive going on our website. You can either drop off, donate bottles of water at Genesis Church Monday through Thursday from 9 to 3, August 1st through August 31st. We have that initiative. That's one program and services. We have Crown of Hope, where we are raising awareness around African American women on their cancer journey, and having culturally relevant wigs that represent them. So we are partnering with Hair Couture to provide those wigs for those women in going through cancer. But we will have a walk on October the 15th. So individuals can sign up on our website and register their teams, get their working and coworkers involved. We're really trying to have a 5K walk, 1K walk, whatever you want to do. You can run, walk, whatever floats your boat.
I'm walking.
Yeah, I'm walking as well. And so we are expecting a great turnout for that. So you can register for those, that activity. We'll have a United Against Racism conference that's coming up in October. We'll be partnering with some different organizations over the coming weeks as we round out the year with our holiday assistance programs, or if it's our trunk or treat in October. So we'll have some different and then the school is about to start back, and so we'll have the Adopt a School program where we are partnering with the Fayetteville Public Schools and making sure that teachers and students have, school supplies and, coats and just different things. So
there's tons of stuff. If you are looking
of activities, and, just email us and say, how can you support this? And I'll let you know this is what we need. Because there are families out there in our community are, counting on these resources.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll have all of his contact information down in the notes. We'll post it on social so you guys can get in contact with Lance and the Black Action Collective, because what I heard him say at that level was there was a little bit of everything that you can do. If you got time, we got something for you to do. You got some treasure, a little bit of cash, we could do that too. And then a talent. If there's something that you are really good at, if there's something that you want to share, they adopt a school. So I don't know how many of you have gone into a school lately, but kids are kind of cool these days when we let them, just do their thing. There's so many personalities. So maybe you are an artist. Maybe you are a coder. Maybe you do anything, and you're like, what would it be like to go into a school and share that, to be with them? Maybe you're a tattoo artist. Maybe you have a job that is so unconventional, and you're thinking some kid is probably sitting in a classroom and that was you. And if someone would have came to your school and shared that you can be and do anything, make your own rules up sometime. So I am excited about what you guys have over the next 5 or 6 months, because I think it will give us an opportunity to, one, introduce the mission to a ton of people. And the more people that know about the mission are the more people that may be attracted to serving with you and alongside you. I love Crown of Hope. I went to the luncheon. It was beautiful. It was a reminder that even in that need of someone who is facing cancer and they've lost their hair, what does that look like to not have a wig that is your textured hair? You know, I just think those are small things that what you said was, it doesn't impact some people. So it's something they'll never think about. And I love my old neighbor. Hey, Kayla. And I remember she said she had never thought about having colored Band-Aids before. Right. And it was like, oh man, like now people are thinking about small things that you may have never, ever thought about. And so I think that's beautiful. And what you said was you celebrate the willingness. The willingness is what really, really changes things, because when I get you to action, when you come with willingness, I can do anything. The once I just thought that was probably going to be what I quote from you the most, which is I celebrate the willingness to fight alongside me, to learn alongside me, to do the action alongside this cause. So I thought that was really, really beautiful. That there's not, I'm not even celebrating.
It's a humbling experience to, because at the end of the day, I believe this is ministry. I think that reconciling mankind to the restored state of humanity, you have to break down structural walls, and racism has been a divider in an institution with slavery and different things where there are, I believe, people that want racial healing and are on their eternity is evading time, and so they are wanting to reconcile and they have some unanswered questions and some because segregation and the civil rights movement, it had individuals not knowing each other. So you had a group of individuals living in the country that had, various ideas and opinions and concepts about each other. And so there's some healing
on both sides.
Yes, on both sides. Like,
and
exactly.
I think that's the thing
that's the thing that acknowledge that it's not a one-sided, that I want everyone that, that racism impacted white people in a way that they didn't get to understand or get to learn the true humanity of African Americans. They were deprived of creativity. They were deprived of learning. Look how we've progressed as a country because of the diversity of collaboration. So when we think about how much time have we lost, how much creativity have we lost because of isolation, like separatism, like segregating ourselves and, living in our communities and, in our thinking about just, our own little community. How boring, and
so a little boring.
And so we are seeing now more people are talking, and it's like we are having conversation and culture, and it doesn't have to, we like the same music. Like it can be as, what is your movies that you like? Like it's, just
small things. Because I find it really interesting sometimes. I'm like, I would sometimes make a reference to something. I'm like, do you even watch that on TV? Right. And I'm like, why would I think that this person didn't watch it? Cause they're white? Like,
well,
or,
at a point in time, but that at a point, well, it is because, but even how the media is shaped in America, I was watching a segment the other day about the dark 90s, which is I recommend any like that. If you asked me earlier about what some of the things that I might recommend, watching The Dark Side of the 90s on Vice, channel Vice, where they're talking about the different cultural experiences of how Fox used African American shows and how, in which growing up, I did not. I only watched Black shows. Like, so all of my shows that I watched, because I watched Martin, I watched like every show, and I was like, everything that they were talking about. And I was like, yeah, that was on Fox. And then UPN, I was like, yeah, that was on UPN. And so I was like remembering. And then I remember Living Single and Friends. Living Single was before Friends, but look who got these. So I don't want to get
and like you said, there are so many layers and there are so many things, because we can think of, at this point, like I said, I like watch something too. I'm like, do you watch that? Right, but it's a real question of, do you watch that?
Because I didn't watch Friends, because I watched Living Single, and so like
on both sides, it's like
I was aware of Friends. It just.
I wasn't gonna watch it. I don't think I want to watch that. Right,
yeah, because it just didn't have it. And even, it's just...
So, it's small things.
The small things.
There are some things. I've had some recommendations and I'm like, ooh, this is good, And I hope that my recommendations were just as good. But we don't even realize how separate we are in a lot of ways. And that's perfectly fine.
That's okay.
Hey... The differences that we share,
we still can be cool. We can still coexist and be in a community. And that's okay. I think I am unique and one of a kind. That is something I always think about and remember from first grade. I don't know why I remember that from first grade, but it was the teacher would always say, it was this tape that was, y'all are unique and one of a kind. I was like, yes, I am. And so that stuck with me of being an individual. And so that's how I have, I try to encourage people, bring your authentic self. If you don't bring your, I don't want any, if I can't, I want you to be you and be your real self. And that's where we'll be able to, grow and, make a difference. But if, we can't change anything if, it's a false sense of changing. So, so that's where we're at.
So I think that for me is what I'm hoping people do in their space of service, which is show up as yourself, show up as your broken self, show up as your funny self, show up as your professional self, show up as the girl that was raised in a trailer on a dirt road self, show up in its wholeness, because you will absolutely find that as you move forward and serve in different capacities, that every layer of yourself, that every version of yourself, that every experience of yourself really has to be brought to that to address who you really are.
Because who you are.
There are times where you can go to college and you can just become a whole new person and you live in this place and no one knows where you're from. You've never taken anybody home and you're like, well, who is she? Who is he? It's like inventing yourself all over again, and that's perfectly fine. But until you really, really deal with yourself in that space, in every space, you are never going to be able to show up to something like, something as heavy as what you deal with. Because you can show up to a shelter as your newly invented self and hand out food. But unless you show up to yourself as the little girl who may not have had a meal her whole, on some days, and you won't even feel what that is for releasing or share, who it can inspire.
Exactly.
And so that's my hope, is that as we show up in these capacities, as we show up as brand new corporate American, folks, and that we show up in a way that in our hearts, we're showing up naked. We are showing up knowing why we show up. And we may not ever get to the point where we share why we're showing up, but be honest with yourself about why you're showing up.
You have to be.
Just you won't get anything from it.
You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest. You have to be okay with being a product of a 14-year-old mother. You have to be okay with, your father, a broken relationship. So you have to be able to stand in that truth, but also knowing that, oh yeah, I've lived in the projects, growing up and been on, food stamps and doing that. But I also have a master's degree. And so I understand the hardships. I understand how it where my next meal is coming from. Don't know where that is. So when I go out and working in the community, I understand, I get it. And, you don't have to feel bad. Like, it's not an embarrassment. It's not, you're not a failure. It's, you're experiencing life.
Yeah.
And because this is the life deck that you have been handed. How are we going to navigate it to get positive results and the results and outcomes that you want to see, and then start working towards that desired outcome?
Yes.
And it will happen. It has to be a desire, and you have to show up and be available to work.
And be available to work. So basically we are saying to you, as whoever you are in this moment, you can still show up. Whoever you are on your journey, you can still show up. Wherever you're at in your journey, you can still show up. If you have a willingness to show up, don't let anything about what you are not keep you from showing up for something that you're really passionate about, because that will have you home, not doing what you want to do. Your heart will still be aching to help, and you just haven't given yourself the grace to do so. And I hope that anybody listening has felt encouraged that you literally could be doing the work of your heart, and opportunities will come to you. You can be tackling really hard things and still finding a soft heart to serve.
Yeah.
That as you are opening space for conversations, you're opening space for learning, you're opening space for progression, that people will say, I want to be a part of that. And that people hear this story of someone who has said yes to the call, yes to the service, yes to the giving, yes to the figuring it out. Because, baby, everybody that's been sitting next to me,
it's not it's not all glitz and glamour. There are going to be a lot of, you have to be okay. You have to be okay with figuring it out. You have to really be okay with, like, hey, like, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Like, it's a day. I don't know how this day going to look, but I'm here and engaged.
I'm here and engaged. I'm going to show up.
I'm going to show up.
I'm going to show up.
I'm going to show up. And so in my showing up, in my being available, I can watch the manifestation unfold. And it's been a marvelous and a fulfilling, and I get joy. And I have a passion of why I get up.
You said be available. I think there is a church song that says, Lord, I'm available to you. And so every week I start my week off with a song. Yeah. Like, that's going to be my intentional song of the week. It's something that I can...
Milton Brunson, I believe that is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that might be something. When I air this episode, that might be my song of the week. I'm going to look it up.
Days is, if I remember back in 95, I'm pretty sure I directed this in Milton Brunson.
Okay. So I do that. So I normally pick something, and everything that you said today was about willingness. It was about openness, and it was about being available. Even though it's a very, very tough thing that you tackle every day. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for encouraging us to do that type of work, to do the work of making sure that when my cute 7-year-old is 17, that there's been work and there's been progress done. And that in the work and the progress being done, there are people who are like, I want to support that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to attach all of your socials, all of your info to the notes section of the podcast, so that people can get in touch with you.
Appreciate that.
I hope that people enjoyed our conversation. I hope that you left feeling like no matter where you are on the spectrum of the Black experience, where you are on the spectrum of what racism and bias is, that if you have been encouraged in any way to learn more, that you will do so. And if you think about yourself and your life in a year, 5 years, 10 years, where you want to be versus where you are is simply the work that you'll do on yourself. And it could be a little bit of work. It could be a lot of work. But I'm so grateful to you, Lance, for joining me. I'm so thankful to you all for listening. This has been Ty Odom and Lance Reed, and we appreciate you so very much. And yeah, you guys go and do something great this week. Unlock your magic, share your time, talent, or treasure with someone this week. Have a good day, y'all. Bye.